Hi, my name is Watson. Welcome. This is Shonen Spotlight. Hey, sound guy. What's up? Cut the jazz. I want to have a special song to open up today's show. We're talking about Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken. It's the show of the year. We can't just do the same thing we've done the last 3 episodes. Give me something a little less easy and a little bit more breezy. You know what I'm saying? Dude, it's only March. Chill out with the superlatives. We got a whole year to go. Anyway, I don't think we've got that kind of time. You've got that suave delivery thing. It matches the jazz. Let's just keep doing that. Why do you sound like garbage? You're talking to yourself. If we're going to do this bit, we need to sound a little different. This isn't the way to do it. What do you want me to do? Put on an outrageous accent? Okay. Oh, oui, oui, monsieur. C'est bon. Omelette du fromage. Omelette du fromage. Omelette du... No, stop. That's just lazy. Oh, I get it. Don't be lazy. Well, here, let me enunciate absolutely every syllable. That way I don't sound like a Midwestern doofus like you. Dude, harsh. I meant do something in post. Here, process your audio like mine. Dynamics processing, normalize, denoise, and normalize again. Goody. Now the entire audience is going to get confused on which you is me and which me is you. Then let's do something about it. Here, I'll move over here to the left, and you can move over to the right. That's a start, but you need headphones for the full effect. There's got to be something more obvious we can do. Here, I have an idea. There we go. Little sound effects, a little ambiance. Okay, first of all, I said quit it with the French accent. Second, how is adding ocean noises helping anything? Helps me relax. Come on in, water's great. But that doesn't do anything for the audience. It just sounds like we're both on the beach, even when all the noise is coming from your side. You need to change the quality of your audio to make it sound like you're not in the booth. Dude, what booth? We're in your bedroom. Was Kevin Conroy ever really in the Batcave? Work with me here. Okay. I'll adjust the compression, and... boom. I'm looking into the booth from the soundboard. Hey, that sounds pretty good. No, it's missing something. Let me compress this a little more, add some sound effects and some music, and we should be...
golden! That's the only way to describe your new life in Total Land. From the cocoa buildings in Chocolate Town to the extravagant tea parties at Whole Cake Chateau, Big Mom welcomes you to our kingdom with open arms, where you can help make this world into a wonderland. Everyone from the smallest tontata to the most beautiful mermaids gather here to live in paradise. You will never fear hunger when you live where the streets are paved with cheese. War and lawless men got you feeling blue. We proudly report no successful invasion since our great country's founding. Sleep well under the protection of the Charlotte family. Hello, this is Charlotte Moscato, Minister of Gelato, welcoming you to Ice Island and your new life in the new world. Please step through the door to pay your immigration fee and begin your life anew. Total Land, where your life is our strength. This message brought to you by the Total Land Immigration Board and Charlotte Nustholt, Minister of Transport.
All right, enough.
What?
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good. This has gone on too long. Let's get to doing the bit I planned where we fight over how to make the best song to introduce Eizouken in a way that peels back the production curtain a little bit. Like how the anime does its best to explain how animation works as a piece of animation itself.
How is that any different than the bit we just did?
Just play the opening. Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken is the latest anime from the relatively new studio Science Saru, a studio founded by famous director Masaki Yuasa. You may know him from the award-winning Devilman Crybaby, or maybe that one especially strange episode of Adventure Time, Food Chain. His name attached to any project is enough for some to jump on the hype train and ride it all the way down the line. Yuasa's shows have a frenetic energy that's uncommon for TV anime, and you can easily point his films out of a lineup thanks to his distinct style. Eizouken is no different. The story is simple. 3 girls, Asakusa, Tsubame, and Kanamori, want to make an anime. And then they do. Asakusa is a shy girl full of ideas with a sketchbook full of designs for settings, vehicles, and monsters, but she's no good at characters. Her goal is to make the coolest world she can think up come to life. Tsubame is a model and actor whose parents have forbidden her from pursuing a career in animation for reasons. She flat out rejects that command and animates anyway. She's captivated by how the world moves and excels at character animation. Her goal is to make an anime as close to reality as she can. Kanamori likes money. She's a shrewd businesswoman and aims to fund and monetize the other girl's passions. With these three, the story is able to cover all aspects of the animation process, beginning to end and front to back. As a bit of an animation historian myself, I love learning about the process of stringing together sequential images to create the illusion of motion and the techniques used to both make it feel natural and capture it on film. To me, the act of animating is masochism, which is part of the reason why I love it so much.
What?
Let me rephrase. I love the work animators do as someone who could never sit in one spot for hours a day to produce mere seconds of the finished product. Hell, my brain shuts down if there's too many building options in a structured video game. Eizouken shows us how the sausage is made through the eyes of people who love the craft. But more than that, it's a meta-narrative speaking of a master animator's own experience. I really like the parts where the show gets meta. Well, not in the Mimi Deadpool way. It doesn't do that, and it never acknowledges the fourth wall. There's a point early on where Tsubame is describing the animation she wants to draw by doing the action, which was a sequence animated by someone in Japan. Animators animated, animators animating, and animations contextually animated by the animators they animated. That's just fun to say. The simple, cartoonish character models from the source manga lend well to the unrestrained motion Yuasa injects into all of his projects. In episode 1, for example, our principal cast goes to a screening of an anime hosted by their high school's anime club. The manga shows very little of what the girls are watching, but the anime decided to reanimate an unmistakable piece from the late 70s. Any casual animation fan could recognize the style Hayao Miyazaki is known for, even if they were unaware of any of his work outside of Studio Ghibli, or that the film that the girls were watching is from Future Boy Conan, Miyazaki's directorial debut. There isn't a more ubiquitous name in the anime industry. Using his work as an example of how people can be drawn into the art of animating itself seems like a no-brainer. Even in his earliest stuff like Conan and his episodes of Lupin III, there's a captivating life and energy in even the smallest details that not everyone is conscious of, but Asakusa is thrilled to point them out. Someone did that, all of it, deliberately, painstakingly. That's why she draws in her sketchbook, to do something as awesome as that. The show wears its Ghibli influence on its sleeve, from the crowded, quirky city nature is trying to retake, to the machines in Asakusa's daydreams. Oh lord, those daydreams. There's a point in nearly every episode where Asakusa draws the other two into her fantasies, whether to explain one of her designs, or to paint the scene they're going to create together, or just to spice up a bland situation. The environment starts rough and unfinished, and the sound effects are all noises from Asakusa herself. But as Kanamori and Tsubame begin to see the world through Asakusa, making their own improvements along the way, the sound effects stop being pretend noises and become true sound design. The world shifts to something more solid and full, until the full colors of the universe spread out before them. And all this before they even start to make anything. And man, when we see what these girls can make, it's even more incredible. Now, I want you to go into this show as blind as possible, so if I've gotten you interested in watching Eizouken and you haven't yet, I want you to pause right now, watch all that's come out, and come back when you've finished. It's on Crunchyroll, Eizouken. You'll find it. I'll be here for you when you're done. Now, if you're already watching it, stick around. I'm going to talk in detail about why I love this show so much. Last chance if you don't want to be spoiled. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Characters are the most important part in making a great story. I will accept the most baseless, nonsensical plotlines if I'm invested in the characters. Side note, have you guys started One Piece yet? Episode 1 starts like Spirited Away, with a bored little girl in the backseat of a car running off the first chance she gets to find a fantastic world right around the corner. But in Asakusa's case, it's the world in her mind's eye that catches her imagination. As the story plays out, we see that although she has an incredibly creative mind, she's not great with the whole words and mouth in front of people thing. Also, she's a military geek. Basically, she's a shy dork, and dorks are like my #1 character archetype. Outside of Yuasa's incredible eye for the craft, this show's biggest asset is its ability to show how the characters feel without outright saying it. And that starts with Asakusa's grade school doodles with all the raw talent that gets the drawing of a dog that your mom thinks is a very pretty horse on the fridge coming to life. Her passion for art direction shines through every second. If left on her own, she would likely never complete anything as she easily gets lost in her own ideas. Tsubame struggles in a similar way, though for her, it's her perfectionism that keeps her productivity down. That's where best girl Kanamori comes in. As producer, she has to fight tooth and nail to keep the other two grounded, on task, and on time while securing funds and support from the student council and the other clubs. She is ruthless. Kanamori's best character moments are her verbal judo matches with the faculty and student council as she convinces them to allow her to start their film club. She's always doing something to support her friends off screen while we're focused on Tsubame and Asakusa goofing around more often than not. Kanamori can come off as sleazy and devious with her mind on her money and her money on her mind, as the great poet once said, but she shows that she genuinely cares for her assets. She genuinely cares for her friends. Tsubame's story is the most interesting. In the beginning, as she inserts herself into her new friend group, she admits her desire to draw the most realistic anime possible. To her, the most beautiful animations are the most mundane and real. Her favorite Ghibli film's probably The Wind Rises. Nerd. When Tsubame and Asakusa get on a roll fantasizing together, you're in for a visual treat every time. Tsubame grew up as a child model. Being in front of the floor-to-ceiling mirrors all the time, she became fascinated with motion and the ability to capture it by drawing. And boy, does she. Now that her face is plastered on the ceiling of trains, she doesn't want people watching her work just because she's famous. She wants them to watch so they can see how well she can perform. She doesn't want to take shortcuts with computers. She'd rather sketch every single frame by hand on paper. As I write this, episode 8 just aired, and with it brought the end to Tsubame's struggle with her parents. Turns out they're not complete assholes. They're just absentee busy actors. They want what's best for their daughter. They know she has potential as a model and actor. And her father admits he may have gone a step too far, forbidding Tsubame from animating. When they see all the hard work she's put into her anime, they start to see she's not wasting the talents they know she has. It's just refreshing having regular people as parents in a teen-centric story like this instead of overbearing open mouths with legs. Eizouken's story mostly showcases the craft of animation from its history and techniques to the experience of those working in the field. And that's easy enough to see in The Three Girls, but that's hardly where it ends. Unlike other industry anime like Shirobako and Bakuman, Eizouken benefits from a setting less firmly based in reality that more closely resembles the atmosphere of the school in Kill la Kill than, say, Toradora. There's a club for literally every concept, just so it doesn't seem too jarring when the girls find an animation studio from a disbanded film club, complete with old animation cells and a multiplane camera just lying around collecting dust. And all this talk of ancient techniques, of course, leads into a fantasy sequence explaining how Asakusa likes to animate wind. Well, I don't know about you, but I love this stuff. The way the Science Saru team depicts the animation pro tips and the work-in-progress animations is so interesting to watch. You may have seen some unfinished animations from your favorite anime on the internet before. It's all line work, and some parts aren't more than still storyboard images. That's called an animatic. For the club's first commissioned anime, naturally, a giant robot anime requested by the Robot Club, they show an animatic of the short. They add a little depth of field and a few other touches that make it feel less unfinished, and it shows the potential Asakusa and Tsubame see in their vision. The whole process of making their mecha anime, pleasing the client, and working with outsourced talent seems like a very personal story. Designing the robot together with the Robot Club especially. A clash of passions luckily led to a good outcome for both parties there, but that's not always a reality, and the show is smart enough to show that with the outsourced background work. If I were to describe Eizouken in one word, that word would be embellishment. Yuasa's manic energy alone could give that description to any of his anime, but it feels like he looked at the source manga, took Tsubame's words to heart, and said, "This is the anime I want to make." On top of every character being incredibly expressive and lively, on top of every shot being well composed with interesting perspectives sprinkled in, there are so many things added to every episode that are entirely unnecessary, but make the watching experience that much more enjoyable and never feels like padding. They didn't need to reanimate Future Boy Conan. There didn't need to be voice controls in the lunch line. There didn't need to be a chase sequence through a complete stage with working trapdoors, false walls, and trick stairs. But these things exist anyway. It's like watching good improv where every yes and leads to a bigger and better laugh. It's obvious Yuasa and his team are having a ball making this show. Their first short is especially powerful. It's an incredibly well-animated action sequence, to be sure, but the way it shows how it captivates its audience is just as impressive. I know Eizouken certainly captivated me. As I'm recording this, Eizouken is still ongoing. Even as it is, I rank this show among my favorite anime of all time. Now, as I've said, it's currently streaming on Crunchyroll. You can find a link to that page in the episode description. I can only hope that there will be a Blu-ray release sometime in the future. For now, I've got more anime to watch, so let me know on Twitter at Shonen Spotlight what shows you've been enjoying this season. Links to all of my social media pages are in the description as well. If you found me on YouTube, give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel. You can also subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, TuneIn, and Apple Podcasts so you don't miss an episode. I'll be back in 2 weeks. Don't wait up. There's a whole world of anime out there waiting for you. Until next time, see ya.
And that's a wrap. Good job, man.
Thanks, Sound Guy. You too. I like the little things you added. Really punches up the comedy.
Hey, it's no big.
You gonna be sticking around in the future?
Yeah, I'm happy to help as long as you need me.
Awesome, man. Hey, you want to get some boba? There's a little tea shop right down the street.
Yeah, I know. I'm you. We already established that this back and forth is just you talking to yourself. Why exactly are we extending this bit? Just seems a little masturbatory at this point.
But do you want boba, though?
Yeah, I could get some boba.